Last item, 10E, adopt a resolution authorizing city manager to purchase upgrades to the internet service routers and to replace telephone service call manager equipment in the amount of $896,795.
Council. The item before you tonight has been identified in the Cable Department's 2014-15 capital improvement budget as the call manager and router upgrade project. Staff is bringing you this item tonight before the CIP projects are considered in the interest of starting this project in a timely fashion. San Bruno Cable's internet service supports both data delivery and telephone service to residential and commercial customers. There are two critical components of this network we're looking at tonight: the network routers and call managers. On the screen, you can see a very high-level overview of our network. We have a lower view if you'd like to see that. It's a little more complicated, but I've got this very high level here just to give you an idea of some of the components that are on our network. The routers are noted in the blue squares, and there are three of them. They forward and control the data packets to users to and from the cloud. As you can see, there's three routers in place, and they are in place for redundancy and to offer separate paths for our San Bruno network. They also guard against any potential path failures like we experienced with one of our carriers a few weeks ago, with minimal interruption in that case. The issue of the routers is their capacity. Each router's maximum capacity is 1 gigabit per port. With three routers and three carriers, there's a potential of 3 gigabits of capacity. Currently, we'll show the other slide for just a second here. Currently, when all of our users are on at peak time, so this is not during the day, this is generally peak times late at night, there is about 2.5 gigabits of use traffic going back and forth, quite a bit. So we're not peaking out, but we're getting closer and closer. So we're looking at what we need to do to affect a change. The staff report notes that we've seen a 1,700% increase since we started a 12 megabit service in 2002. So, as you know, subscribers don't just surf the web anymore. They watch videos, TV in fact. 1/3 of our traffic can be attributed just to Netflix. Social media and gaming networks use a large amount of bandwidth as well, as users have cell phones, tablets, multiple computers in their home. This bandwidth experience is not just in San Bruno, it's nationwide, probably international, but I know it's nationwide, whereby usage has increased exponentially. To address this over the years, staff, with council approval, added some caching servers. If you remember, those were devices that store data, so even Netflix movies, so that the traffic does not have to go out over the network to the routers. So we've been able to keep some of that traffic in-house and not increase the bandwidth. But while adding more ports and vendors is a temporary solution, it doesn't address the major concern, which is redundancy. So at peak times, we have 2.5. If one of the routers were to fail at peak times, during the day we would be okay, but at peak times, if one of the routers were to fail, there would not be enough capacity to carry the network as it is today. It would slow down for users because of that reason. So to address this concern, staff is recommending an upgrade to these routers to 10 gigabit port units. So you go from 1 to 10 to 100, so we're looking at the 10 right now. As part of this recommendation, a complete and thorough review of the entire network was also embarked upon by our vendor, Bear Data Solutions, and enhancements will be implemented with the new upgraded routers. Enhancements to include some additional fibers dedicated to the network for added redundancy, automated switching for interruptions will be put in place, and there will be scheduled tests conducted on an annual basis to make sure that the performance is correct. As council may remember, a router failure several months ago took several hours to correct and caused internet disruptions for an entire network. This upgrade will address prevention of that type of interruption of service with the newer units that will facilitate that work. The capacity for the upgrade will be 10 times more than what we offer today with room for growth, and will position San Bruno Cable with the capacity to meet the needs of subscribers into the next 5 to 10 years, if trending growth continues as it is today. The second part of this project, noted in the staff report, is the upgrade of 2 call managers. They're also on our network, as you can see. They're near the bottom there. Call managers control the telephone system employed by the city and 250 other commercial telephones in use in our city, on our network. This equipment also deploys the features associated with the phone system, including on-hold messaging, voicemail, hunt groups, forwarding, calls, caller ID, and more. This system is 5 years old, and the technology is becoming out of date. Cisco Systems, which we purchased the equipment from, will no longer support the units as of 2015. So staff is recommending replacement of both units to remain supported and take advantage of the new features available to users. Some of those features include WebEx compatibility, instant messaging, there's better resiliency if should something go down, they come up much faster, full Cisco support, and less hardware with newer technology. Both projects include multi-year support plans as part of the project. This project is being identified as a capital improvement project. San Bruno Cable is proposing to finance the project and will work with the city's finance department to achieve best options. We do have a professional services agreement with Bear Data Solutions for the installation and maintenance of this upgrade and are receiving municipal discounts directly from Cisco for the purchase of this equipment. The project is expected to be completed before year's end. This way we'll have the support we need for the call managers with minimal disruption by doing both projects at the same time. So the switchover would be done during a scheduled maintenance window in the middle of the night, would be advertised to all our subscribers and commercial businesses as well as the city, and it would be, to keep to a minimum. This is similar to what we did when we employed the new phone system five years ago. So it's the same sort of work. It's quite extensive. There's been quite a lot of discovery done already by our folks, so they're well on their way once we get the go-ahead to do this project. Al Johnson, our system engineer, is here this evening, and I, to answer questions. We also have a representative from Bear Data Solutions here, should there be some more technical things that you need to know. Thank you.
Any questions of staff at this time? Ken?
I'm very untechnical about all this stuff, but I remember the discussion, was it 5 years ago when we were dealing with the Cisco system there? All assurance, you said, pretty much you probably gave the same type of assurances that it's the better system. Are we getting the best system available to us now? So that, and I realize that technology changes, and 5 years is eons, and
That's exactly right.
now, but and I know you can't anticipate, you can't predict that something's not going to be better in 5 years from now, but are we positioning ourselves to have the best available system?
I believe so, Councilman. We have the equipment we're going to be getting is the latest technology. So Cisco fully supports it, and they recommend these units to us. It has all the same features we have today, plus additional features. And in the 5 years we've had these units, we have never had to reboot them, restart them, except recently when we had an issue a couple of weeks ago. We had to reconfigure something in the unit. But before that, we have not had to do any of that with these units. So they're very robust. They're very good, but they're no longer going to be supported. So the new features would be welcome.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Through the chair?
Michael?
No question. So in the staff report, I believe it says that the 3 routers, which we see on the slide there, are going to be replaced, but on the little worksheet that was at the end of the report, I believe it's showing 2 10 gigabit routers and 3 call manager units. Was that reversed?
That's reversed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are.
Yeah. It will
Okay.
be 3 units.
So it's 3 and 2.
Yeah.
So back to then the number of routers. So we're doing we're about keeping up with demand right now with the 3 routers, but
Yes.
we're going a 10 times jump in throughput with the new router. So can we in fact get away with using 2 routers versus 3 routers if we were to go to a higher capacity? Why would we not want to do that?
We could only if we wanted to give up the redundancy in the system. 2 of the routers are right here in the city. The 3rd router is at 200 Paul. So if we give up 1 router, we'd be giving up a lot of redundancy. And I believe the redundancy is well worth it.
Okay. So couldn't we do one at Paul Avenue and one local?
We could, if you want to give up the redundancy. You know, if something happens with one, you know, you're down until it's repaired. You know, with the smart nets we have, we got a 4-hour window. But, you know, that's once you find out what is actually wrong with that unit, and then you know, we have to get the replacement. Unless we buy extra equipment, have it sitting on the shelf. But then you might as well just keep the second one in the system and have full redundancy for our phone system and our customers.
Okay. Well, I mean, I understand where we would want, you know, the 3x redundancy if our capacity was throttled and we were exceeding demand, but it seems like with even 2x redundancy, we would still be able to meet peak demand until the second unit were brought back online, right?
Well, I'm talking about the redundancy in the system itself. If one router goes down, then our phone system goes down. I'm not talking about the bandwidth. And we can handle the bandwidth with one router, but we can't handle the network being up.
Okay. And so then in your diagram there, you're showing that all the call managers are going through one, they're dedicated, physically connected to one router, and there's no redundancy in those routers?
This is a very mild, high-level diagram. We got fibers going back and forth, you know, many fibers going back and forth for the redundancy on each location.
And that's kind of what I figured, that this was just simplified. So if router 2 in your diagram were to go down, call manager 1 and call manager 2 would be picked up by router 3.
Yeah, there's other connections going. We don't
Right.
have all the connections here, but it's fully redundancy. If the router 2 goes down, router 1 will pick it up, and everything's, you know, still going out.
Okay. And then regarding the call managers themselves, you have about, it says 300 phones on each call manager, and it looks like those are redundant to each other. So if one of those were to go down, we can handle the capacity with one call manager of all 600 phones plus the entire city's requirement?
Yes, we can. Call managers can handle up to, I think, 15 to, I think might be 24. We only have 1,200 licenses for it, but we can buy more license, and they can handle up to 2,400 calls each call manager, I believe.
And those call managers are physically located in the same location?
No, they aren't. One's at 140 Arbor, and one's at 398 El Camino.
Okay, so that we do have locational.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the two routers are, one router's at 200 Paul in San Francisco, and the other two is one at 398 El Camino and one at 140 Arbor Court. So they're completely separate from each other. You know, one, you know, so they're.
If we lose one of the data centers,
Right.
we're still up and running. Okay, very good, thank you.
Yep. Anything else? Action by the council?
Mr. Mayor, may I insert again, just an additional answer to Councilmember Ibarra's question. Staff answered the question correctly, but I would not want the city council to misunderstand that this is not the only investment that is anticipated in the near term. The capital budget will include, as it did last year, the need for additional investment in the system to rebuild the equipment that the field taps, or the field, what are they called? The field plant that is the backbone for the entire cable structure. In more specific answer to your question, and I'm sure our system engineer would agree enthusiastically with me, that it is highly desirable, and it is staff's plan to provide the opportunity for the city council to understand the system configuration and its potential in a more detailed manner in the near term, probably in a study session environment. And probably the best short answer to your question really is that a fiber to the home or a increased fiber-based plant really is what the future requires of our system. The issue is ability to afford. And so what your staff has done, and they do obviously an excellent job on an everyday basis, is to provide the necessary cost-effective improvements that will allow us to anticipate and address the near-term and relatively visible, longer-term future needs of the system. And that's what this project does.
Through the chair,
Michael?
the city manager's comments made me think of something else. So you mentioned fiber to the home, and that's something I think it's a hot topic, definitely. In terms of our ability to be able to provide that, what sort of horizon are we looking at? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? How far off is that?
You want my answer?
That's a question that I think we're going to have to grapple with with the opportunity to give you a great deal more information. I'll just guess that Al's answer is the sooner the better. Again, the issue is the price tag. And so we're going to be recommending to you approximately a $1.7 million investment to rebuild the cable plant. An alternative would be sooner rather than later deployment of fiber, but that comes with a multiple of about 5 times the cost. Could we do it in stages? Could we do it over time? Those are all issues that I think the answer to that is yes, and how to do it, when to do it, and what's the benefit of doing it, I think is a much more complex and detailed discussion that we would like to have with the council relatively sooner rather than later.
And so then, assuming that it is somewhere in our horizon, within, say, the lifespan of this equipment that we're considering tonight, how does that change the landscape, and how appropriate is this solution to that environment?
This solution right here runs us right into fiber to the home. This would be needed if we started fiber to home. This is needed probably 6 months from now if we just go the route we're going. But if we go fiber to home, this solution is very well needed. You aren't wasting a dime on this equipment here by putting it in now.
My point was more to, is this going to be then adequate, or are we going to be maxed out when we
No.
take that next step?
No. Right now, we're doing, 2.5, but, if we put every home fiber to the home, we can go up to 50 gigs, and they say when you offer, the fiber to the home, you'd have a gig system, basically, and when everybody has that quick of speeds, actually, they use less bandwidth, because people get off quicker and go on. So,
You haven't met my
this
kids.
will outlive, this system here would keep the system going for a good 20 years, I'm sure.
Okay. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
All right, I want the book on cable systems for dummies. I'm gone.
We can provide that,
Yeah. Please.
Just talk to
I
two of
need
us
to catch
here.
up.
Okay. Any other questions or action by the council?
I'll introduce.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell. Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.